So you've got 2 toes in front and 2 toes at the back, and it's easy for them to grip both ways and actually upside down as well. But of course, this ram is definitely having a good old clean. Oh no, he's not happy with those things. I think he's over it. I think there's so many red-billed oxpeckers on him there now that he almost had like 20 families that was gathering on his back. Well, at least he's clean. Lucky boy. You got a good old clean there. In the background, we've got a couple of warthogs just relaxing. Well, actually not relaxing, but feeding. But as you can see, very, very low to the ground. Actually right on their knees. Like, don't have to spend too much energy bending down every time. So sometimes you'll see how they feed with crouching down on their knees or with, their front legs. As you can see, it's very wet, so they've just finished mud bathing. Of course, like wallowing, just like your elephants, like your buffalo, your rhino. Warthogs do the same. Many times they'll gather that mud on their body just to suffocate the parasites. So what happens is that mud cakes against their body, and the parasites cannot get any oxygen, and then they will pretty much suffocate under the mud. And you'll find that the warthogs will actually go along to like a rock or a fallen over tree, and then they'll actually rub that mud off, and it'll actually peel or pull those parasites off with the mud. And that's exactly what the elephants, and that's what the rhinos and buffaloes do. So they're all very well adapted to kind of keeping themselves nice and clean, as well as, of course, because of their skin texture. Just like buffalo, elephant, and rhino, they also use it for the elements, especially for sun. So it actually keeps them very cool during the daytime, and it doesn't the sun doesn't harm them too much. Though you can see a couple of females warthogs. Well, I see females just got that set of warts under the eye. The male's got a second set of warts that's pretty much between the nostril and the eyes. So we've got 2 sets of warts, where the female's just got the 1 set. I remember back in the days, actually, the Disney movie Lion King, the first one, Pumbaa was actually a female, because if you actually look at that first Lion King, that warthog only had 1 set of warts. So Pumbaa was Pumbaalina. And now, of course, if you look at the new Lion King movie, they've actually corrected it. So they've got now 2 sets of warts, just to make sure that it is a male. Yeah, I don't even take notice, don't worry. I just read up about that the other day, and like, okay, well, interesting facts. So, yeah, very, very nice animals. Very tough as well. So that's one of the animals that can really, especially the big males with the big tusks, can really do a lot of damage to certain predators like your leopards, even wild dogs, or even cheetah. Well, it looks like they're just going out of sight. That's behind the tree there. What a beautiful, beautiful day. What a beautiful day. Anyway, we're going to head back to Chris, and we're going to see what's he up to.
Yeah. Right, I've just spotted some elephants wallowing as well. So from Cedric's warthogs wallowing, let's go and take a look at our elephants wallowing. I'm just going to stop here. That is going to be so epic. You don't always see them actually rolling like that. Hello there, Josh. Josh says it's such a special moment, yeah. Like I mentioned, it's not often you see them rolling like that. They'll most of the time use the trunk, suck it up like water, and then just throw it onto the body. And those guys, I probably think the consistency of the mud is a bit too thick, perhaps, and therefore they roll in it much like warthogs and those other creatures would do. And there's a lot of purpose to this, obviously, to immediately cool down. Then it'll act like a sunscreen as well. And then more importantly, it will dry up, and it will basically encase parasites like ticks and so forth. And as the mud come off, it will take the ticks along with it. Fleas, ticks, dead skin cells, all these things. So it's a beauty bath as well. They all but moved off into the bush, and it's relatively thick where they went into. It's a nice little open clearing. Day. Yeah. It looks like they have moved into the bush now, so. Well, that is again a very short sighting, but very, very sweet indeed. And totally by chance. I was still driving around to think, what am I going to talk about? And there they were. Just on that scene that we're on at the moment, you can see a bit of cloud building there. So maybe we might just get some rain after all.
Do you dream of traveling to a far-flung wilderness location where life continues as normal? A place where you can escape to nature and breathe. If you become a WildEarth Explorer, then this could soon become a reality. Subscribe today and stand a chance to win regular travel prizes. WildEarth Explorers, it's in your nature. Pangolin, known as the respected wise old man of the African bush, is said to be a symbol of good luck and the bringer of rain. 8 species of pangolins are found worldwide, of which 4 occur in Africa. This mysterious creature is now the most poached animal on our planet. The African Pangolin Working Group will strive towards the conservation and protection of the African pangolin species and the habitat they live in. The African Pangolin Working Group has been mandated by the Department of Forestry, Fisheries and the Environment to assist and support with the retrieval, release process and the research of pangolins in South Africa. Each rescued pangolin is assessed, treated and rehabilitated by an experienced team of veterinarians and rehabilitation specialists. We can ensure the survival of the species. Together, we can make a difference.
Myself and Sebastian were looking for the Birmingham Pride sub-adults, and we just found them stealing a hoisted baby impala carcass out of a tree. This is incredible. It's the first time I've seen one of these youngsters. Whoa! Quite a good chunk there. Nearly fell out doing it. She might fall backwards. She's actually lowering herself down the tree. It's the first time I've seen a lion do that in person.
I am an outdoor photographer, a wildlife filmmaker, and a conservation storyteller. Penguin Beach is going to offer us this really unique opportunity to watch and pick up on the smallest of details in the penguins' lives. It's going to allow us the time to really get to know these penguins well, get to know their story, and get to interpret the little finer details and share that with you with a live TV show and get you to fall in love with penguins.
Nice. Eso bien.
Welcome back to Dam Cam. Just taking a look quickly. I want to see if that Egyptian goose is around the area again. Or he always hangs out at the other side. I just want to make sure that we still got him around. I haven't seen much movement from that side. But it is still very fascinating if anybody has been, or well, anybody's been following the movements of the 7 goslings in our Egyptian geese family that's always been around the Gowrie Dam area. They don't really see them anymore, except the male. The male returned. Oh, it could be a different male. Look, don't get me wrong, I might be mistaken on that situation, but you never know. And sometimes it's like you never know what happened and how it happened. You never want to kind of speculate too much. Just know it's you get everything wrong. And also we got that beautiful brown-headed parrots that's been nesting in this tree. I think I saw them earlier coming back, and I did hear them, definitely, that high squeal of the typical parrot noise. But I can't see any. Anyway, while I'll scan around the area, let's head to JP in Pinelands and see what's happened at his dam.
Welcome back to Pridelands. We had our first animal coming in to come and have a drink again. It was a young African elephant bull that popped in. And he was drinking fairly close by to us. And then from there he actually progressed to an area where there's a lot of mud. Quite often you'll actually watch them that they will use their feet to kick the mud loose and move forward and back with the foot. So then they will take it of a trunk and simply start spraying it in between the legs as well as over their body. And as you by now probably know, the function of that is to cool themselves down as well as to get rid of additional parasites that's on the animal's coat. And quite often what we do see is that they will go straight for a dust bath once they've actually moved off, and that they'll then cover themselves with dust after they've done the mud bath. It's also an incredibly warm day today, and the temperatures are well over 34, 35 degrees Celsius, and in the direct sunlight it's probably even warmer. For an animal that's darker grey in colour and that cannot sweat, he's actually very effectively cooling himself by also using his ears at the moment, simply by fanning them forward and backward. As it is an incredibly warm day here, this doesn't make sense for us to start walking, as that we know that it's unlikely that we will find anything out there, and that it's better for us just to wait over here. He's now actually gone down and he's actually lying in the mud and he's actually rubbing himself forward and backward. I just want to see if we can reposition and get a little bit of a better view from him. There we go. It's not often that we see the big elephants actually going down and lying in the mud and rolling like that. It's more typical youngsters that do that, as well as teenagers. Well, we're going to sit and watch our elephant for a little bit longer and see what he gets up to. And then let's go and see what Chris is up to.
Right, we're now on the eastern boundary, or cheetah cut line as it's called. Same process, just slowly checking for tracks. Well, the northern boundary, Buffelshoek cut line, yielded some results. I mean, that elephant was quick, but it was quite nice to see them wallowing like that. That's not often you get that type of wallowing. So let's hope that cheetah cut line does the same. And then once we've done all the boundaries, we'll then start the interior, sort of crisscross the property a little bit. Hi, Jonas, and your comment there. It was a really quiet feeling to Djuma last day. Today, I wouldn't call it quiet, I would rather say peaceful. I mean, yesterday we had that bizarre game drive with all the action, and this afternoon a little bit more peaceful, and I think it's important we have those. Because if it's just action, think about an action movie. Even action movies, it's not just shooting and stuff the entire movie, well, somehow, right? But there's some conversation in between, quiet moments. And I think this is, a nature experience should be the same. You know, you have to have that time to just appreciate this. Even just looking at trees and grass, just not even talking, just soaking it up. And then you'll find the action will come, you know, so these in-between periods, whether it's short periods in a drive where you don't necessarily see high-profile things, or if you have a few quiet days in a row, that helps build anticipation as well. And that's what I like about it. Okay, that's it. Kelly is up to while we continue our border patrol.
So we were just driving, looking for tracks. We actually found some leopard tracks going in this direction, but this spider web really caught our eye. I actually saw one the other day and I was a bit confused as to why it looked like this. To me, it's unusual for either a golden orb spider or a community web spider. But we've just spent some time actually having a good look in here. And it does appear to be an unusual construction of a community web spider. We had a look and there was a nest in there. And after doing a bit of reading, I found out that some species of community web spiders actually practice matrophagy or matrophagy. And these colonies of spiders, they're normally around 80% female. They do most of the web maintenance and natal care, and around 40% of those female spiders will breed. And once those females, they'll all be responsible for the care of the spiderlings. And at the end of the cycle, when those females, after their last molt, the spiderlings will actually feed on them I believe. This is the information I read. Like I said, I haven't seen it. I'm always dubious of using information that I haven't seen because there's so much out there on the internet. But I thought this was actually really interesting. And phagy or phagy, depending on how you pronounce it, is obviously eating. So you've got geophagy, eating soil or rock, coprophagy or phagy, eating dung. So matry or matry, phagy or phagy sounds like matry is matriarch, mother eating, which is insane. But there are different species in the animal kingdom. I think, if I remember correctly, octopus also do it. There's a couple of other animals that I've heard of. And the animal kingdom, the ultimate goal is to reproduce. And if that's the sacrifice it takes, then that's what nature drives animals to do, which is crazy. But it works. You can just see at the bottom there of Craig's beautiful shot of this spiderweb, a little spider, and there's also, I can just about see, I think it's a molt skin, a shed skin of a spider. Oh, Linda, no, way too creepy. It's fascinating. I'm going through an intense bug and creepy crawly phase at the moment. It's so clever. It's so, it fascinates me how nature just works. It just flows. And I've been doing lots of reading about creepy things. I've been doing reading around bed bugs and ticks and all sorts of things lately, but I'm waiting to see if I can find some of these things to share this information with you. But it's just the smaller stuff in nature just fascinates me. How it all comes together so beautifully. So yeah, this is a fascinating maternal space going on right in front of us here.
When on safari, there's nothing better than an evening spent under the stars chatting around a fire, with the sounds of the wild all around you. If you sign up to be a WildEarth Explorer, you can build your own memories by joining our guides for regular fireside chats. Subscription payments can be made by PayPal, credit card, and now bank transfer. WildEarth Explorers, it's in your nature. Cape Nature is the chief custodian of the Western Cape of South Africa's natural environment. This highly successful organization strives to conserve the province's natural heritage to ensure a sustainable future. Besides nurturing nature, Cape Nature offers an authentic ecotourism experience to local and international visitors. And one of these experiences is walking amongst the penguins at Stony Point, or as we know it, Penguin Beach. WildEarth broadcasts live from here every day and is very privileged to be partnered with Cape Nature, who have focused their conservation efforts here. If you want to visit these iconic black and white African penguins for yourself, then head over to our website to find out more. Cape Nature. Conserve, explore, experience.
So there we go, look. All three in one frame. Look at that, isn't that cool? Oh, that is so special. That is exactly what we had been hoping for, is all three of them to come together and make the perfect little family portrait.
Identifying individual African penguins can be extremely challenging because at first glance, they all look the same. Identifying Duo, an African penguin with a double breastband, was extremely exciting for me. Less than 5% of the African penguin population has this unique variation in plumage. And I can't wait to share Duo's life with
Just checking out some wild dog tracks here, but I suspect it's from early this morning, last night, where I had them just south of us where we are now yesterday. And there has been a car that's driving over them. Yeah. Okay, so they're not very fresh. It's not going to be worthwhile to follow them. Nearly got excited there. But definitely wild dog tracks. Now I'm just looking for a nice track, and I want to, in fact, see if I can't show you how to distinguish that from my hyena track, but they were running, so it's not a very clear track. I'll check further down the road if we can find a nice wild dog track. As they were running, you can't really, I won't achieve what I want to in order to show you what the track is like. You know, it's not a clear track, clear wild dog track, but it is dogs. So where they were, probably came out of Torchwood, they went into Buffelshoek and they went west from there, and then they entered the western sections. So there was no visual on them. Hi there, Pinnakin. Pinnakin would love to see some cheetahs. Well, so do I. I have not yet seen a cheetah here on Djuma. I've seen tracks down at Chitwa once. This particular part of the Kruger is not really home to a high density of cheetah. There's a lot of leopard around here, and that seems to be a bit of an immediate area deterrent for things like cheetah, as well as the fact that we mainly have woodlands here, bushvelds, and we know that cheetahs does prefer the open areas, you know, or slightly more open habitat. Now, just east of us, into the Banyaleti, the parent rock formations change from the granites that we have here, most of the time results in these woodlands, and sort of undulating country, to a volcanic rock called gabbro. And gabbro often results in flat soils, open areas, grassland type of areas, and you'll find a bit more cheetah there. It's amazing how even the rocks can have an influence on what animals you see, because the rock's going to determine what type of soil and topography you have. Maybe in the next day or two I'd actually would like to gather a few samples of rock from the area, and then we'll do one segment, maybe one or two segments on geology and the rocks of this area, just to show you, help you understand how important rock is, because it's going to determine what soils you're going to have, combined with climate, your macro climate. So soils and climate's going to determine the type of plants that's going to grow there. And you see how it just builds on top of each other, keeps on. So it all starts with a parent rock, or if you want to refer to the original rock of the area that created your soils, or resulted in the soils that you have in the area. But anyway, back to cheetah. Love to know from the other guides if when last they saw cheetah. I know they often see some tracks on Torchwood east of us, and we have had sightings on Djuma. And I remember watching the show. I've been watching WildEarth long before I started doing work here, and I remember cheetah being on the show. So you never know what can happen. I can't see those wild dog tracks now. Yeah. All right, so we are almost done with the eastern boundary, then we'll tackle the southern boundary. In the meantime, let's head over to Kelly to see what she's up to.
Have fun on your boundary search, Chris. And please, I would love to learn some things about the different rocks and the geology of the area. It's incredibly important. People forget that the rock type and the substrate and the minerals and everything else in the soil, if that wasn't there, then nothing else would be either. If there was no minerals, there'd be no grass, no trees, no browsers or grazers, and no grazers, no herbivores, no predators. So right starting from the bottom up is incredibly important. I've just come to check another dam, and we've found some thick knees over on the far side here. It actually caught my eye because one of them is showing a bit more black than usual. Just that underwing there, but normally I can see there's 3 of them. The one on the far right is sat down, he's curled up on the side of the water there, and that is is a fairly typical pose, and they become almost invisible to me. They just caught my eye. Oh, the other one sat down now. Just caught my eye because one of them was standing. I can also see a white flash under there. So all these ground birds, they nest on the ground, and I'm actually looking. Did I just see a chick under that middle one? I thought I saw something. I can see 3 birds there, and it looked like there was maybe a chick under that one in the middle. That would be cool to see. These ground birds, they're chicks. When they hatch, they're born mobile. Oh, it stood up now, let's look. They're actually called runners. And almost right from the word go, they're like these little fluffy pom-poms with big spindly long legs. And they're not called runners for nothing. And they need to be able to camouflage, because obviously they can't fly when they're very small, and they will duck down in the grass and hide from predators. It's the only defense mechanism they've got when they're that small. Wesley, why are they called thick knees? I would assume it's because they've got pronounced joints in their legs. They used to be called dickops, and this is where I actually know this translation, but where Chris would have been able to explain it much more clearly with his Afrikaans. But dickop, from what I can understand, means thick head, and they used to be called water dickops, and they've changed, as is often the case, and it's normally due to DNA or new discoveries about the birds or the animals that makes their name change. Thick knees, I can only assume because they've got pronounced knee joints. I can't give you anything other than that. Wesley, if anyone else has any other suggestions, I'd be happy to hear them. But yeah, that is what my guess would be. And you see those 2 birds that we were looking at, they've sat down. Oh, look at this guy. Beautiful. There's African long-tailed paradise wider. Check this guy. And that actually, underneath, this might actually be the female. There's another fairly dull little brown bird underneath there. Whee! Oh, stunning. I think that might be the female just underneath. But this male is absolutely beautiful in full breeding display. Full breeding plumage. I don't think there is a chick under this little thick knee over here, and they've sat back down. So I'm going to carry on my search, and I'm going to send you across to JP now.
Welcome back to Eco Training Pridelands. We've been watching our elephant for quite a while and eventually chased off a number of impala that came in for a drink and then disappeared himself. We started to go and walk around and see what we could find. And what I could find is some feathers that we have over here. And when it does come to feathers, there's actually a number of different types of feather structures which we do get. The first group is fairly large feathers. These are flight feathers. And you can see these are fairly symmetrical in appearance. And this is most likely coming from a wing, as they are more symmetrical in appearance if they do come from a tail. Then the feathers that we have over here, these are actually contour feathers, and the function of them is to cover the bird as well as make it more aerodynamic. There's a number of other feathers that we also get, which is then from there down feathers, semi-plumes, and rectile bristles. And rectile bristles are those that you often find at the base of the bill of many species. And the function of that is to actually size prey as well as protect eyes, as one of the theories about it goes. If you ever wondered how a feather is structured, I'm just going to use this one over here. And when you do start looking at the structure of the feather, we always start with a culmus. And by looking at the culmus over here, I can say this feather has been naturally lost. If it was due to predation by a mammal, this would have been bitten off. If it was by predation of a bird of prey, and we do find a wide range of different birds that do prey on guinea fowls, and these include African harrier hawks, martial eagles, as well as species such as Vero's eagle owl that loves crashing into trees where they are actually roosting at night. Then we would have had a tear along the rachis, which is this long section. And then when we do look at the feathers, this individual parts over here is barbs, and then there's tiny little barbules. And what I would like to encourage you to do next time when you are looking at things in the field and you want to actually see what they are, is you can actually use your binoculars and you'll actually see how those barbules perfectly work as an interlocking mechanism that keeps the feathers together. Well, we're going to go and see what Kelly has found and move on and see what else we can go and find.
Kelly has found. Can you see what it is yet? In the grass? I'm just going to roll forward. Can you see? Can you see? Can you see? Can you see? Ta-da! We have just found the wild dogs. I haven't seen a single track for them. We were just quietly sitting at the dam, looking at birds, and then around the corner, we found these guys. I'm going to sneak forward again. They did all stand up when I got here, but I don't want to push them. So I'm going to sneak forward. This is so exciting. Oh, this is the best. You can hardly see them. I'm just going to see how close these animals are going to let me. Okay, let's stop. Ears in the grass. This time of year, oh. Nadia, thank you so much. I could lie and say, yes, we've been tracking these animals all afternoon, but we haven't. This is just the way it goes sometimes. Sometimes the bush just provides. And we're not even 50 meters from the dam, so maybe these dogs have been lying in wait here. Okay, I'm just going to roll forward again. Okay. Look at at those ears. Oh, beautiful. I was listening to Chris yesterday. What can you hear, dog? I was listening to Chris yesterday saying how often these are guides' favourites. And I'd have to be inclined to agree. So special to see these endangered predators. And this is such a nice sighting. They are in the grass, but they're relaxed here with the vehicle. If I hadn't... There we go. Everyone's settled back down again. That's lovely. And sometimes, you know, if you do, it can be so easy to miss anything out here. If you're maybe looking at a bird or a rustle on the other side, I think if I'd stopped a couple of meters closer to them, they might have run off into this thicket here, and it's incredibly difficult to keep up with these African wild dogs at the best of times. And if they'd run, I think we probably would have lost them. But Chris was saying yesterday, when he was fortunate enough to find these animals as well, that we do love these painted wolves or African wild dogs as guides. They're always very special to us. We know how lucky we are to see them. But I actually said to Odie yesterday, I've broken a lot of cars trying to keep up with these guys. I'm actually quite soft on cars normally. I think I've already developed a reputation here for not normally driving faster than 15 kilometers an hour at a stretch. But when these animals run, you need to try and keep up. And they are completely unfazed by the vehicles in that situation. We're very sensitive to these animals. We never want to interrupt their behavior. But to be honest, when these dogs hunt, they go. And it's incredibly difficult to keep up with them. I can't see how many dogs are here. I think I can see 4, 5. Is that another ear in there? I'm not sure. Craig's probably got a better view than me. And they've moved back from the road a little bit. There was one showing interest at the dam. But I'm just going to hang around here, I think. There's a good chance that as it cools down, let's have a look at the time. It's 4:45, so I think it's possibly a little bit too early for these hunting dogs to start getting active. There's another one way back there. I just heard a rustling. Oh, there's another one. Yeah, there's a few here. I'm certainly not going to go anywhere for now. I'm going to see what these stunning apex predators get up to.
Look at that, it's amazing. Wow, hey.
And 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, live.
Oh, that's cool.
Just in there.
And the black mamba is going up the tree and the mongoose is attacking it.
She's gonna pounce again.
Sure, you can all agree with me. It's not a bad start to our Wednesday morning.
something that I have never seen before in my entire life that you are now watching live.
Look at that. It's just beautiful. Fantastic display by a little herd of springbuck.
How is this view?
My heart is in my mouth, everybody.
Amazing, they've locked their tusks together. You can hear the cracking branches.
It is so incredible to spend this time so close to an African penguin, and it's completely unfazed by my presence whatsoever.
How insane is that animal?
Amazing.
Awesome. It is fantastic to watch.
Well, now we've got a tug of war between mom and daughter, look.
I'm just at a loss for words. That's just incredible to see that.
So we're just gonna wait. I haven't moved the vehicle, and I'm not going to move the vehicle. Every once in a while, one of these dogs is getting up, having a little look around, having a sniff, and then laying back down again. And if you were a Impala or a Steenbok or in a vehicle, and these animals didn't stand up, you just wouldn't see them here. These carnivores have got varied diets, so they're probably best known for hunting antelope, and certainly most of the wild dog hunts I've seen have been impala. I've never actually seen a wild dog kill. I've missed many by minutes, but as I said earlier, when they hunt, they stand up and they run. They use stamina. They don't use the stalk technique like your leopard. They don't use your speed technique like your cheetah. Oh, sorry, oh no, Chris was wondering about cheetah. I haven't seen a cheetah for a very long time. This is the same pack as Chris had yesterday. I've got this animal in front of me now with this wound on its back. So I think this is the Mbali pack that Chris was with yesterday. They will lock onto an individual from a herd. Young wild dogs will stick with their family for quite a while. They can have very large litters, these African wild dogs, up to 18 pups, which is rather a lot. Packs can get up to 40. I used to work in an area with a pack of, I think it was 32, and this pack would decimate prey species. The pups start running with the adults, I think from like 4 or 5 months-ish, so they will stay around a den site until then, and they will, the males, if there's litters with 3 or more brothers, the males will tend to leave and disperse. Also, females will disperse. They do need to after a while, otherwise these packs would just get bigger and bigger and bigger, and they would run out of food resources. In some areas, they can get huge, but as in the area I used to work, 32 was just... And I actually had a friend of mine, 2 friends of mine, were in a sighting with this pack of 32 wild dogs, and they killed 5 impala in minutes. And I'm sure, as you've all been told before, these wild dogs are pretty brutal, and they will basically just grab, bite, tear as required, whereas your cats often execute a kill bite, either suffocation or break the spinal cord. These dogs just like bite and rip. And yeah, there are 5 impalas in as many minutes. So an average size for this area is normally 10, 15, somewhere around there. But yeah, sorry, I ramble. Pups will leave their packs after a while, but they will stay with their family groups for some time. Seanak, yes, me too. This is actually the first time I've seen this pack, and it's super exciting. And there is something really special about. I do really enjoy tracking animals and finding them. That's a great sense of achievement. But it doesn't always work, and it can be incredibly frustrating. So I also really enjoy it when nature just delivers sometimes. I'm sure these dogs are here. I'm sure they came to drink. They've decided to settle. And then they'll probably set off to hunt from here. I was listening to Chris with them yesterday, and I think it was around about 6:30 or somewhere around there, 6:15. They started to get up and get active. So we're not that far from where Chris had them yesterday. It just makes me wonder. I mean, we're not too far from where we saw Ribbon. The age-old rivalry between these African wild dogs and hyenas is very well documented. I'm going to stay around this area and send you back to Cedric, who apparently has something these wild dogs might enjoy.
Yeah, welcome back to Dam Cam. That's very, very true. I think the dogs will love to be around at this dam at this point in time with all these impalas that's come down to drink. But there's so many eyes and ears here as well. There's loads of baboons in the background. So for those wild dogs to really kind of start sneaking up on them is going to be a bit of a tough one. But, you know, wild dogs are very persistent. One of the most experienced hunters, if not most successful hunters out of all predators around here. But as you can see, a nice breeding herd of impalas. It's all the females. They're looking at something down there. I just want to take a look. Very much, take a look. I think maybe it might be the warthogs that they're looking. I know the warthogs were pretty much hanging around this side. Maybe just the Egyptian geese that's walking at the bottom. But of course you can see with all these beautiful female impalas just coming down for a late afternoon drink. Of course it's been a warm day today. I don't see the male. Usually, of course, with these breeding herds, you'll get your dominant ram that controls the harem. Coming up to March now. March rutting season is very, very close to a lot of action where the males start challenging one another in the bachelor herds just to have full control of these breeding herds. And then, of course, the rutting happens, and then the copulation really happens at the end of March and beginning of April. And then, of course, while the impalas are so successful, all the females will drop their lambs pretty much at the same time. Give and take the conditions of the season. If it's a real wet season, they'll tend to have their lambs a little bit earlier compared to a very dry season, a little bit later. But of course, that's why they do, and that's why they're so successful. They drop their lambs all together, so it's safety in numbers. So more lambs you've got together, the better chance of survival. You can imagine if one female drops a little lamb now by itself, and no other female has a lamb, that little one is, the chance of survival for that little lamb is very much almost a 0%, because the predators will pick up the weakest impala in the herd, and that will be that lamb. So we've got a whole lot of lambs together just by that chance. And by that number, you're going to definitely have a better survival rate. And as you know, that impalas as well very much browses and that grazes as well, so they pretty much browse and graze. So they, in winter times when it gets really dry and the grass is not so abundant, they can divert to having leaves and little forbs that's growing around, which helps them a lot and keeps their numbers going. Very important for the area, just to know that impala is very much one of the most sought after diet in most predators, like your wild dogs, your leopard, hyena. Due to the numbers, that there's so many around. Oh, but I think, oh my goodness, did I just miss something here? Sorry, I just saw something walking in the background. There's a hyena that I'm trying to get there. Just wandering off there. Oh. Sorry about that. Yeah, it looks like I knew they were looking at something and I thought it was Egyptian geese, but unfortunately I didn't have a bigger view on what we were looking at. Anyway, let me try and see if I can find him again. Let's go back to Chris while he's at Chitwa.
Righty, so back at Chitwa Dam. Decided we're going to come and explore what's happening here. I did a brief recce, and it seems like Lunga is not on that carcass anymore. Carcass is also gone, so also no update from the rangers from Chitwa as to any leopard activity. But it's always nice to just spend time at this dam. It's such a nice dam, this. I always say, if I ever win the lottery, and it's a big amount of money, I'll buy Chitwa. No, I think even the lottery won't be enough. Just to have this dam, eh? Imagine. One can dream. One allowed to dream. Anyway. Yeah, it's the usual crowd here. The hippos down below us. And crocodile that we've been seeing regularly is also back on his spot. There's a couple of antelope all around, different species. Saw some kudu moving at some stage. There was some impala around. There's a nyala at some stage here now. Saw a warthog on the way here, sort of, they didn't give us a chance to film it. Oh, there's one. Oh, that's the nyala. There's the nyala. Good day, Riley. Your question, do crocodiles have such sensitive skin like hippos? Riley, no, their skin is much tougher and they can stay out of the water for much longer. It's a reptile, so it is a scaly skin, but it is leathery. It's one of the reptile species that don't shed their skin like snakes, it grows with them. So it is a more leathery-like skin. So the skin is not sensitive to sunburn as such, as much as hippo, but it is sensitive in the sense that each and every scale has got its own unique sort of receptors, nerve endings. They can pick up temperature changes as well as vibrations in the water. So the crocodile's entire body is virtually like a sensor. So in that sense, it's very fine-tuned rather than sensitive to all sorts of stimulus in terms of a sense, rather than in the case of a hippo where the skin actually burns and it cracks, dries out. We'll stay a little bit longer here. I'll wait for something interesting to come down, but let's head over to JP at Pridelands to see what he's up to.
Welcome back to Pridelands. We're still out on bushwalk, and at the moment we are looking at a tree that's been pushed over by an elephant. And what you can notice is that there's some older damage right over here on the side, while there's fresh damage right over here. And this has been recently pushed over, and it's probably been done in the last week, because I can't remember this over here a week ago when I actually came through the area. Sometimes what you also will notice when it is damage that's been created by elephants is very uneven edges, where you will notice where branches has been twisted off, or the tips of the branches have been twisted off with a trunk and then pushed through the mouth. With damage like this, we also will find that there's eventually a lot of good use for the whole ecosystem out of it. We'll find that there's a large number of lichens that grow in here, as well as wood-boring insects that's already started boring into the dead parts of wood, which will assist with actually recycling of this dead when the plant starts dying. We also will notice that there's a large number of grasses that are sticking out underneath the tree, and these grasses are now protected against animals such as impala that might try and come and feed on them. Eventually, in the drier parts of the year, when there's not an abundance of food available, we often see elephant cows actually pushing this aside, or even elephant bulls I've noticed doing it as well. In the case of the cows, they do it that they can provide fresh grass that's underneath there that's been protected to their young, while the bull will just simply feed on it. We also find that there's a number of small mammal species which will actually also use this as a refuge and hide against potential predators. As a fawns, branches also provides a sufficient amount of protection for them when predators do try and actually get them out from underneath there. Well, we're going to go and move on and see. Let's go and see what the rest of the team is up to.
We baba swatika emsabeni, we baba babansati banhlupha, we baba abafika endlini yami awungathi bangafike kathithimela, we baba how city was a Friday, my darling, was a Friday.
This is that one, I don't know if you've seen guys make soap out of the leaves.
Yeah. Hey, my sweetie, was a Friday.
This is Picky Plastic, and Picky Plastic is excited about the Global Recycling Day. Recycling plays a big role in the wild earth environment, from protecting the penguin colony at Stony Point by cleaning up the oceans, to ensuring that the safari team reports littering and recycles within the camps. Join WildEarth and be a part of Global Recycling Day on the 18th of March 2022.
Guys, have a look at what we've got. This is better than my birthday. Look at that. This is the first time that I ever see cubs this small. This is so special. This is officially
just become my best sighting of all times.
Tune into Wild Earth every single day. It's in your nature.
It has been a wonderful privilege to identify one of our key characters here at Penguin Beach, Pepper, with a very, very distinct facial patterning, as the name would suggest, very peppered and speckled belly. I'm really looking forward to seeing what this penguin does over the next few days and months. Because of those unique markings, it's going to be really, really cool to watch it as it moves around the penguin colony here at Stone.
Welcome back. I'm still sitting quietly with these beautiful painted wolves. I haven't moved the vehicle. We did just get a little Daco right onto the road in front of us and quickly duck back into the grass, which was quite exciting. But these African wild dogs didn't notice or chose not to react, one of the two. Funnily enough, I actually, I'm working on an animal behaviour diploma at the moment, and I was watching a video as part of my studies recently, and it was actually a video clip of African wild dogs and the way they regurgitate food to their pups. So I'm sure you've been told before, the adults, if they've got young at a den site, the adults will go, they will hunt, they will run, they will shred prey, they will eat it very, very quickly, and they will swallow. And these animals have actually got a specialised mechanism as part of their digestion, whereby when they're running, that food that they've swallowed doesn't digest, and they only start to digest meat and proteins when they lay down. And it seems that evolution has developed this for that exact reason, that if they're hunting and running back to their den site, then when they do regurgitate, then these pups get pretty much pure meat, exactly as it was when it was eaten. And this video clip was of a young, very young wild dog pup, maybe 2-3 weeks old, at the den site, and Mum had been hunting. She'd come back, and rather than just regurgitating sort of immediately, she walked away from this pup, and this pup had to had to demonstrate the correct behaviours to prompt this regurgitation. And it's amazing how these animals assist in the development of their young. So often people, they will, with young, puppies, domestic puppies will feed on demand. This video was discussing how nature develops its own techniques of creating the correct behaviours in young animals in order to provide them with the skills they need to become effective pack members. There is a rank system in wild dogs, but the aggression is actually very infrequent. It's done with begging behaviour, with posturing, with body language, and to see a fight in an actual pack of wild dogs is most unusual. So pack members will often even compete towards submissiveness, and these animals are normally relaxed in each other. Everyone knows what's going on because it's all been worked out in their own way. These misnomers of fights and alpha beta aggression, it doesn't serve anyone. Same as with alpha dominance in dogs. It doesn't serve anyone to be fighting amongst themselves, especially these wild animals. They've got enough problems out here. They've got hyenas, they've got elephants, they've got lions, they've got all the other things that they need to be aware of and stay safe from. The last thing they need is problems in their own home, in their own house. Nature's incredible the way it maintains this. These dogs, as I was saying earlier, they hunt with endurance They've got a top speed of almost 65 kilometres an hour, but it's more their endurance. And they can run at around 45 kilometres an hour for over 5Ks. That's fast. And that endurance is what makes them one of the, we're talking carnivores, top predators out here. We haven't had any sign of movement, but I've often said with these wild dogs, and I'm not prepared to move the vehicle, they're still sleeping nicely. This is going to be the last bit of nap time they get before they start getting active. So who am I to interrupt that? I'm not prepared to disturb them. I'm hoping to stay here, though, until they do run. But lions give us warning. Often, you can sit with lions for a long time. But these dogs, they will tend to, they sleep and then they stand up and then they run. There's not much of an in-between. So I am going to continue to stand by here, as they say. And I'm going to send you across to JP over at Pridelands.
Welcome back to Eco Training Pridelands. We just started walking through a thick area. And when we do walk, we always never keep on talking. We actually are quiet when we walk. And actually, that's one of the things that we actually brief our guests with. Second thing that's very important, which we often brief guests on, is that we always walk on a single file. And the reason why you do that is that you don't by accident actually step onto something. The most important aspects of the brief is that you actually do actually instruct your guests to follow your instructions at all time, and under no circumstances must they ever run. And we generally will provide them with a command of stand still. But as we are moving down this little footpath, I've already noticed something down there. Let's go and have a look. And what we have over here is a dung beetle busy pushing a piece of dung to a hole that it's already been created. And when it actually did get on top of a dung ball, it was actually orientating itself. So what they do is they position themselves according to the sun, the moon, the Milky Way, and they can also use stars. I also reckon that they can even potentially use ultraviolet light to also use to position themselves. I find it particularly interesting that there is only a single individual on this dung ball, and quite often you do find two, and if it's two, it's a male and a female. And we generally find that the female does no pushing. She's just simply going there for a ride, and then they will mate and they will lay an egg inside that ball. This is most likely going to be stored as a food ball compared to a brood ball where there will be an egg inside. It's believed that they inject the ball with a chemical which actually keeps the inside moist, and the outer layer actually will become hard and very resilient, and that will then be there as a food provisioning source for a young dung beetle that starts developing in there. I actually think he's already discovered his hole, and we can actually see where he's actually now digging the ball into the ground. It will probably take some 4 or 5 minutes, and that ball will actually start disappearing underneath the surface. Quite often these balls will also be dug up by species such as honey badger, and a few months ago we actually did find a few of these brood balls which were dug up and then broken open with a very powerful claws which honey badgers have, and then they simply ate the grub that was in the inside. One of the other important things when you are walking is why you don't want people to talk. It's also to listen, and one of the things that we can hear is a distant trumpeting of elephants, which is actually making their way over here. We're going to go and follow up on that, and in the meanwhile, let's go and see what Cedric is up to.
Yes, folks, welcome back to Dam Cam here at Kauri Dam. As you can see, I'm just panning over the area, looking absolutely beautiful. Just such a beautiful sight, real African sight, and with the dead trees and green trees, and it's just a real African scenario. Of course, you know that these dead trees, pretty much most of the dead trees, at least about 96% of these dead trees, is all created due to elephants ring barking trees. So they actually do that to feed during winter time. Usually they take the cambium layer off. So the cambium layer is a layer that transports the water and the nutrients back and forth to the leaves. Of course, if that layer is taken off right around the tree, they say if there's 20% left, the tree will survive. But if it's taken off right around the tree, of course, there's no transport system anymore to transport the water back and forth to the leaves, and then the tree will usually die the next season. As well, you can see many times different trees will last for much longer standing upright. It depends on how heavy the wood is itself. Sometimes you'll find the density of the wood is much, much lighter, like marula trees or apple leaf trees. Very light density of wood. So if they get ring bark, usually takes about 2-3 years before, like, all the wood boring beetles will start boring into the wood itself, and it becomes very fragile and flimsy. It just takes a wind just to push it over, and you'll find many times those trees will fall over much easier. But you'll get the trees that you see that's still standing upright. You get like the knob thorns, a lot of the acacia trees, as well as the leadwood as well. Very heavy wood, and they pretty much stay up much longer.
Nothing beats sitting around a campfire at night whilst on safari, listening to the calls of the wild and chatting to your guide. If you sign up to be a WildEarth Explorer, then you can enjoy this from the comfort of your home. Imagine hearing bush stories from your favorite WildEarth guide and reliving their highs and lows of a life spent in the wild. Every month, WildEarth Explorers will be treated to an exclusive fireside chat, special occasions, hot topics, and deep dives into the WildEarth characters.
Everything else is just welling up inside of you, out in nature. Some people think I'm weird, but I have an absolute joy. I have a good time.
No, I enjoyed myself thoroughly today.
WildEarth Explorers. It's in your nature. The Endangered Wildlife Trust is among Southern Africa's largest and most established non-governmental conservation organizations. Our strategic vision centers on saving species, conserving habitats, and benefiting people. In 2021, the EWT secured habitats, reintroduced African wild dogs and cheetahs into reserves across Southern Africa, and created vulture-safe zones to reduce major threats to vultures, such as poisoning and electrocution. On the 3rd of March 2022, we celebrate World Wildlife Day under the theme Recovering Key Species from Ecosystem Restoration. Standing strong alongside our partners, donors, supporters and friends, the EWT staff have achieved remarkable gains for conservation. Thank you for helping us protect forever together.
This warthog is in big trouble. He's got elephants all around. What are you going to do there, big guy? What are you going to do? Oh, he's pretty brave though. Oh man, he's not even moving. Look, that elephant is trying his best, but that warthog ain't budging. That's madness. That's so funny. And we have a winner. The warthog wins the standoff.
Expect the unexpected.
Nothing's happened. We are still sitting here quietly with these African wild dogs. They're still in the grass, they're still completely relaxed. Oh, little tail up there. And I'm just going to be patient. I didn't bring my camera out this afternoon intentionally because I found my camera often jinxes what I see. I don't know if it's in my head or not. Maybe it is, maybe it's not. But I plan to just sit here nice and quietly. And I am as excited as you all are to see what's going to happen next. Here at WildEarth TV, nothing is scripted. So you know as much as I do. I'm not actually sure of the history of this pack, where they've been denning, but I know wild dogs do often return to a den site, and they will sometimes move den sites. So not dissimilar to hyena in that respect. They will often use termite mounds, just use termite mounds, and then they sort of have a tidy up of it. And they will use den sites. They will sometimes return to den sites more than once, but they will move den sites sometimes if they feel threatened, or if there's lions in an area, or sometimes just because wild dogs can be a little bit smelly. Not that I don't love them, but yeah, sometimes they can be a bit stinky, so also sometimes they will move den sites just to save on cleaning products, for want of a better phrase. And they will move those pups. If they're very small, they'll pick them up quite roughly. I actually watched a clip recently, and they do carry them quite roughly by the head, by the leg, without too much of a problem. I'm going to continue to wait here for some activity and go back to Pridelands with JP.
Welcome back to Eco Training Pridelands. I just quickly popped on top of a termite mound to actually see where these elephants are, which we heard a little bit earlier. But I can't find them at the moment. But right over here, at the bottom of this termite mound, we actually have a massive hole that's been created by a aardvark. And a little bit earlier on in the show, we were actually discussing little bee-eaters, which is one of my favorite bee-eater species, and also being the smallest bee-eater species. And there we can see the nest right on the top of the wall that's been created after the aardvark has burrowed inside here. And while Kelly is busy watching African wild dogs is one of the species which I've actually seen utilizing these holes as well. I reckon there's something like 14 or 18 different species of animals which will actually use them, and there's a wide range of different bird species which will use these aardvark burrows as well. When I was guiding in the Kalahari and in the western parts of South Africa, it's often southern ant-eating chat, which is a small little black bird that focuses on eating ants, and they'll often or also build their nest tunnels in the top part of the roof of aardvark burrow. Another bird that comes to mind that also uses these burrows is a duck species, which is actually known as the South African shell duck, which is quite common to the western half and the arid western parts of South Africa. I do love them. They're probably very similar in appearance to Egyptian geese. However, the head color is very different, either gray or a brownish copper color. And quite a few times we've actually noticed their tracks also coming out of these burrows. We're going to move on and go and see where our elephants are, but let's go and see what Kelly is up to.
Kelly is still waiting quietly with her. Oh, we've got some ears in the grass, and they've gone back to sleep. I'm more than happy to sit here and spend some time in the presence of these enigmatic predators, although they're not particularly enigmatic right now. I remember the first time I saw wild dogs in the wild, and it was an incredibly exciting moment. They almost became a bogey animal for me. I'd come on safari several times, and it wasn't until I was actually started my training that during the break during my training in 2011 I took myself off into the Kruger Park on my own, and I caught them crossing the road as I was about to leave, and since then I've always had a very special place in my heart for these animals. But as a guide, they give you the runaround sometimes. But that's what makes them so exciting. And I remember the first time I heard these animals contact calling. You would think they don't woof, not like normal dogs, or they don't bark. It's more of a deep I'm not going to make any wild dog noises because while I don't think I'm that good at them, that these dogs will think for a second it's anything to worry about. It's normally a single gruff bark is an alarm an alarm signal. There's lots of chattering when they greet each other, high-pitched sort of yelping sounds. But my favourite one of the sounds that these wild dogs make is it's like a whooping sound, but not like a hyena. It's a low, long note. There's actually a bird here called a Karachani button quail. Yeah, Karachani button quail. Sounds incredibly similar to these African wild dogs. They've caught me a couple of times. I've gone, oh, I can hear wild dogs calling. It's like, no, Kelly, it's a bird. But you wouldn't have thought a bird sound would come out of these apex predators. The sun is dropped behind some clouds now. So I think it's just going to start cooling down. So maybe we'll get some action. So I would suggest if anyone's going to go and make a cup of tea, go and do it now, because when these animals get up, then we could lose them very quickly. I'm going to send you over to Chris in the meantime while we continue to stand by.
Nice, some elephants finally came down and have a drink. How about that? And that is such a beautiful, beautiful scene. I saw them approach from a distance and I didn't keep an eye on them and they just suddenly appeared. And almost exactly where we had those two bulls swimming the other day. Almost exactly the same spot. Hi there, Megan Edwards. Megan says, nature always delivers. No, yeah, just need to keep scratching the surface. Need to keep looking, employ a bit of patience at a waterhole, track a bit, and nature seems to reward those who wants to look and want to take the time to appreciate her. Hi, Ian. Ian wants to know if elephants use their trunks as snorkel. Yeah, indeed. I've seen them cross large bodies of water. I've seen them submerge when only the trunk sticks out. So absolutely, they do. They do. They're not hesitant to go into water. I've seen elephants even cross the mighty Zambezi River. Which is a big river. All right, it seems like we're going to quickly go over to JP to see what's happening at Pridelands.
She did ask for a link.
Welcome back to Gowrie Dam. As you can see, I've got a lovely blacksmith lapwing. I'm trying to find some insects that's hanging around the water areas, the water edges. And of course, one of the nice, pretty much almost like a terrestrial bird that's always nests next to big rivers, dams, pans. Pretty much an area that they enjoy, and I actually enjoy all the little water insects. But why they call it a blacksmith lapwing, if it actually starts making or calling, it sounds like a blacksmith, you know, it sounds like a person that's hitting a huge, like a metal hammer onto an anvil at that ding, ding, ding noise. And it's always interesting just to see how they can make that noise and deter certain animals and predators that come close to their nests. I think yesterday afternoon, if I'm not mistaken, with those baboons that came all the way down to the dam, and they were having such a mission keeping the baboons away from their nests. So I'm not too sure if they got hold of the eggs or not, or the chicks, but they're still here at the dam, so maybe they survived the onslaught of the Chakma baboon. While I'm watching this blacksmith lapwing, let's head back to JP in Pinelands to see what's happening with his elephants.
Welcome back to Eco Training Pridelands. At the moment you'll see bright sun directly to the west of us, and if we come a little bit further south it's quite dark and there's thunder that's also approaching us. So we're probably going to start having to move a little bit closer back to camp, as it's going to start raining very soon. But what I do want to show you before we actually head off is two very interesting things. And right over here we've actually just found the skin of a python. I wasn't sure at first what it was, but when I actually started breaking open the skin and I turned it inside out again, or actually the right way out, we could see the patterns that is on the skin of a southern African python, quite often incorrectly referred to as a rock python. This is one of our largest snake species in South Africa, and some historical records claim that they can get well over 5.5 meters in length. And one of the things that you will also notice with pythons is that they will go into burrow systems like this. They'll lay their eggs inside there, and they'll move in and out from the sun to heat their bodies up, and then go back into that burrow system. And the reason why they do that is that they can more effectively incubate the eggs. And for a few days after that they've hatched, when they will actually then start moving off, actually will protect them for those first few days. One of the other things that I do find particularly interesting is several weeks ago we did find several very small pythons quite close by to the dam over here, and I've actually seen the tracks that's been left by this big female python as well. But when you come and have a look right over here, we can see freshly disturbed soil that's over here, and a very thin, narrow entrance. And this is typical of aardvark, and we've had an aardvark that actually burrowed itself a hole into the side of this termite mound, and it's actually resting right over here at the moment. If you have a camera equipment that can shoot at night and you leave a camera trap over here, you might very likely see them coming out here tonight, as they won't reuse the same burrow systems again. And for me, aardvark is always a special animal to find, and I haven't seen one for quite a while. The last time I've actually seen one was in the Kalahari 2 years ago, and I hope to see one very soon again. But when it does come to the Lowveld region, they're quite scarce compared to the arid western parts of South Africa. Well, we're going to move on, as I can hear a distant rumble of thunder, and we just want to avoid getting our equipment wet. Let's go and see what the rest of the team is up to.
I'm just taking a look here. I think those brown-headed parrots, once again, I know that they are nesting in the one trunk here. I've been actually watching them now and again coming in and out. I just want to just see if you can actually just see them. You're not going to get the color because of the sun. The sun is almost down. You're not going to get the proper color. Most probably maybe a silhouette if they do pop out. I did see a little bit of activity here now, like there. No, that's a tree squirrel. But there was definitely a brown-headed parrot. Two of them. One sits on the little stem there, and the other one was just to the right. But they're pretty much nesting in that area, which is fantastic. Nice to see. I did view them a few times already, and it's very, very fascinating. I'm actually really going to keep my eyes and ears open on the progress of their nesting area. Unfortunately, at this point in time, it is getting a little bit dark now, so you're just going to get a silhouette if they do pop out for the last bit. That's if they're inside the dead tree. They usually, of course, nest in dead trees right high up in the tree itself for protection, and they will make a little funnel, a little hole inside of that, inside the wood itself and the trunk, and then of course they'll just do their nesting and incubation inside there. But I can't see them, so let's see if we can just pan out a little bit. You'll just actually see how high that tree is. It is a very high tree, so they've got a very nice setup for themselves. I'm really hoping that they're actually going to be doing all right that side, which is fantastic. You can see a beautiful evening once again. I think it's going to be absolutely, it's a little bit damp, a little bit muggy at the moment, which is not bad. It's just typical for the low faults. We always get that real kind of humidity, muggy feeling when there's not a breath of air outside. And if you have to light something and the smoke has to travel, it'll travel direct up because there's not much wind around. But it is going to be a beautiful evening and next beautiful days. I think our rain is slowly but surely disappearing. I think, March we still getting rain, so I think maybe March will maybe have a few more storms. We'll have to take a look.
Our explorers are treated to a weekly newsletter, bursting with fascinating features and never-seen-before snippets. Recently, we have added some brand new sections which we think you will love. Find out what happens behind the scenes with our crew when they are not live on WildEarth. Have a giggle at our moments of the week from both Safari and Penguin Beach. And Ranger Steph answers your questions with fascinating and in-depth explanations as to the whys and hows of nature.
20 yards away from one of the most endangered species.
All of this and more delivered to your inbox every week. So what are you waiting for? Head over to our website, sign up to be an explorer, and join the adventure. WildEarth Explorers, it's in your nature.
Pangolin, known as the respected, wise old man of the African bush, is said to be a symbol of good luck and the bringer of rain. 8 species of pangolins are found worldwide, of which 4 occur in Africa. This mysterious creature is now the most poached animal on our planet. The African Pangolin Working Group will strive towards the conservation and protection of the African pangolin species and the habitat they live in. The African Pangolin Working Group has been mandated by the Department of Forestry, Fisheries and the Environment to assist and support with the retrieval, release process and the research of pangolins in South Africa. Each rescued pangolin is assessed, treated and rehabilitated by an experienced team of veterinarians and rehabilitation specialists. We can ensure the survival of the species. Together, we can make a difference.
This is incredible. Looks like vivid monkeys do sometimes go for swims. I heard something splash, but we couldn't see what it was in the long grass. Now I just saw that thing swimming there. This is incredible. I hope it gets to the bank. There are crocodiles in this dam. And Looks like... See that monkey climb up into the tree? Wow.
Expect the unexpected here on Wild Earth daily.
Okay, so, I'm not going to do much talking because I'm going to try and concentrate on what's going on here. Maybe this is the same pack, but the first group of dogs got up very quickly and moved away, which I would have expected they would have moved towards one another. I can hear them in here. There they are. Oh, I hope you can hear that. There is one other vehicle here. I'm going to wait here on the road. I think these dogs are going to come back to the road. This is where you have to try and anticipate these animals' movements. This other vehicle's going in here. But I think they're going to come back to the road and run. I'm going to wait till they get onto the road. I don't want to split them up. You ready, Craig? Oh, this is so cool. Where are we going, doggies? So we're very close to the cut line. If these animals keep going straight without turning, they're going to cross out of our property. Look, there's one rolling in the sand up here. Oh, this is where we get... Oh, let's just watch this behaviour. Oh, this is amazing. Well, Djuma Waterhole, thank you very much. Work smart, not hard, as they say. They're watching this other vehicle coming out, and I hope they don't... Ooh, just got a whiff of them there. I don't want these animals to feel blocked in. Oh, good. This is, as is often the case, see the one at the front there? Thinking, looking, this might or might not be an alpha animal. Who's going to decide, right, time to move, guys? Oh, so nice that they've come out onto the road here so nicely. Let's just give them some space. You see these dogs, they could have run off through the grass and they'd be gone. And very easy to interpret what's happening here. They're just deciding what they're going to do. Oh, they do smell. Woohoo! If only we had smell-o-vision. It's literally like a smell of wet dog. Okay, we're starting to move. Hi guys, we'll swap now. Sorry, I was just saying hello to that other vehicle. Even manners, even when there's wild dogs. We're right on the cut line, so we might lose them very soon. Oh, so cool. Oh, they stink. The cut line is here. This lead animal is on our boundary. So I'm going to pull off here. And we will see which way they're going to go. I'm going to sneak around this corner. Sorry, Craig. Now, what's going to happen? Oh, the tension. Are they going to go over? Are they going to go left? Are they going to go right? Oh, they're going to go back to sleep. Awesome. They're going to go back to sleep. This works beautifully for me. I'm also happy that this other vehicle's got a good view of these animals. While obviously it's really important for us to get the best view for everyone watching. At the end of the day, we're all conservationists and we all want to share these magical animals with as many people as possible. Oh, they're going to go back to sleep. How lovely. Oh, we're going to get to watch their behaviours, their grooming, and all this is part of what I was talking about earlier. Communication, grooming, allo grooming. See, allo grooming is where they groom one another. This is all reinforcing interpack relationships, if you want to call it that. Everyone is just checking, you know. There's been a couple of others at the dam. I was wrong. I thought that was a separate pack coming through, but it wasn't. It was just strange the way they moved away. Maybe they were just checking their checking to make sure it was their buddies and not intruders. But this is really, really nice to watch. I thought we were going to lose them then. Tango, do African wild dogs smell like wet domestic dogs? Pretty much. If anything, they smell slightly worse, if I'm honest. I've got a very special dog in my life called Sasha, and when she's been in a skanky pond, she does stink pretty badly, or even if she's had a bath. But I think these are probably worse. They will sometimes roll in each other's poop. They'll roll in the poop of other animals sometimes to, one of the theories is to cover their scent when they're hunting. But I think, yeah, you would have to have if you're an impala, I think you'd have to have a really bad sense of smell to not smell these guys. So yes, they are a little bit stinky. Look at this, these lovely behaviours here. But see, there's always one alert. See, they're laying down in facing in different directions, sniffing, smelling, looking. I think Chris actually yesterday had a leopard in the same area as these wild dogs. A leopard would be no match for these wild dogs. It would probably be what the common phrase is, that it would be treed, which means it would basically be chased up a tree and it would stay there until it was either brave enough to make a move or the dogs left the area. Like all this grooming, very strong family. Oh, very strong family ties. This, I can see it. I know one of these dogs had a wound on it yesterday. It's actually got a injury under its tummy as well. Can you see that, Craig? That one that's just lifted its head up. Can you get in there? There's definitely been an interaction here. Not between this pack, but the fact there's an injury on the top and on the bottom, I'm not sure what it would have been. That would have to be a seriously big mouse to grab both sides, and I can't imagine if anything actually managed to grab it from both sides, it would survive. So there's been a serious scuffle. baby elephant girl, is that a tracking collar on the one dog? Yes, it is. These dogs are, I think they're still classified as critically endangered, and wildlife conservation organisations in many areas, many different areas across Africa, will collar one of the animals from each of these packs. We don't have the telemetry at all. We don't have the frequencies to put into a computer, beep, 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 okay, where's the dogs? But different predator monitoring organisations will have the coordinates for the telemetry on this collar. So yes, it is. And there's been lots of research done as to whether or not these collars affect these animals in a negative way. And while it's a bit unsightly, it's very important to monitor the home ranges, the territories of these animals, to get a better understanding of exactly what is required to maintain the territories to keep these dogs safe. Okay, well, that one's crossed. We won't, if they go that way, we won't be following. So I think we might start saying our goodbyes, everyone. Are we gonna go? Ooh, decisions. I think they're gonna cross out of our property. Lionheart Larry, they do indeed look so peaceful right now, but this has made my heart so happy, being able to show you these dogs in the open, still watching behaviours. It's so unusual. Lionheart Larry, they look so peaceful now, but give it 20 minutes when they're on a tail of an impala, and it's a different story. Look, I think they are going to go, but let's all say goodbye to these amazing animals. I'm just going to sit here and watch them leave. Coming, going. Yeah, I think they're going to be off. Okay, say goodbye. And wish them luck. And thank them for a absolutely stunning sighting and afternoon. One last scratch. And they'll be on their way. Absolutely spectacular. Thank you all for your patience. I'm glad we waited. Okay, I'm going to be leaving the area. Thank you for your patience, everyone. Awesome, thank you. Sorry, someone else has been watching, which is absolutely lovely to hear. I'm gonna leave the area. I'm gonna carry on. I think that is cause for huge celebration. Thank you, everyone, for your patience.
With those wild dogs.
Welcome to And Beyond Ngala Private Game Reserve, where the magic of Africa comes alive. We are privileged to once again include this magnificent reserve and its array of animals to your screens in our daily live safaris.
On a live drive here in the African wild.
To celebrate, we are offering an unforgettable 3-night stay for 2 at And Beyond Ngala Safari Lodge for one of our lucky explorers. Tucked under a canopy of mupani and tambuti trees, Ngala Safari Lodge offers a variety of activities such as twice daily game drives, intimate wildlife encounters, eye-opening bushwalks, and much more. Sign up to be a WildEarth Explorer before the 15th of March and you will be entered into the draw. WildEarth Explorers. It's in your nature. Cape Nature is the chief custodian of the Western Cape of South Africa's natural environment. This highly successful organization strives to conserve the province's natural heritage to ensure a sustainable future. Besides nurturing nature, Cape Nature offers an authentic ecotourism experience to local and international visitors. And one of these experiences is walking amongst the penguins at Stony Point, or as we know it, Penguin Beach. WildEarth broadcasts live from here every day and is very privileged to be partnered with Cape Nature, who have focused their conservation efforts here. If you want to visit these iconic black and white African penguins for yourself, then head over to our website to find out more. Cape Nature. Conserve, explore, experience.
It's a legless skink, but I'm trying to identify this snake that's come out. Oh, no ways. It's decided to leave. Go for the road, making way for it, and then we'll carry on.
Always nice to find these big old boys, eh? And it's probably trailing that herd that we saw earlier. And see, it's a very big old boy, this. And you can look at those very deeply sunken temples of his. Very broad skull. Relatively thin tusk for such a old bull, but you cannot really use the tusks alone to look at or use as a sort of age reference. I mean, there's genetics involved there, so some elephants will naturally and genetically have thicker or longer tusks. So it might appear like a young boy if you look at the tusks, but it is not. It's a very well matured boy, this. Imagine the stories that he could tell in his probably 40 plus years that he's been around here. He's having a nice little late afternoon, early evening snack. Hello, there's Zane. And Zane wants to know if I've ever seen an elephant with tusks hanging on the floor. Zane, who's age 9. Zane, I think you're probably referring to tusks so long that they touch the ground. And I've not seen one myself, but there was a very well-known elephant in the Kruger Park region. His name was Mafunyani, the angry one. And he had tusks that pointed directly downwards, and they, when he was walking, literally touched the ground. His one tusk was 3.05 meters long. An enormous elephant. And if you ever have the opportunity to visit the Kruger National Park, if you go to one of the camps called Letaba, there is a museum where a number of those old elephant bulls' skulls and tusks are displayed on the wall after they died. The rangers then retrieved those skulls and they mounted them for everybody to appreciate the size of those elephants. The longest one in that room is an elephant that was known as Shau, and his left tusk was 3.16 meters in length. That's up to date the largest elephant with the longest tusks known in the Kruger. I think for some time it was the largest tusk ever recorded. I think sometime after that, I can't remember where, but one was found with even longer tusks. I mean, that is mammoth, you know, that's, that's big. And see how this elephant bull walks with his head slightly raised. And obviously the temporine discharge from that temporal gland That substance is called temperine. And we cannot see it, but they'll also be dribbling urine from his penile sheath. Indicating that he's in must. And that potentially explains why he is trailing those cows. We'll see if he emerges behind that little shrub there, and we can confirm if he's in must. But judging by the way he walks, it certainly looks like it. Good afternoon, Terry. Terry wants to know if elephant bulls will ever mate with the same female. Yes, absolutely. If they're in must and they meet up with a female they've mated before by chance, or if it's in the same area, they certainly would. They certainly would, yeah. They will mate with any female that's in estrus at the time when they're in must, and they actively search for females. I mean, there's no physical bond between these males. They come from far away in search of these females. Put it that way, when the big, old, high-ranking bulls, who are the only ones who really breed, when they go into must, remember they're in much longer and more sort of regular periods of must, and those are the times that they actively search for females within their home range to mate with. And yes, it could then also be the case that they might have mated with the same female. But that will only be once every few years. I mean, once every 3.5 or so years. All right, we're going to leave this guy to finish his early dinner, rather. And let's head over to Kelly to see what she's up to.
Kelly is calming down. What an absolute treat that was. And Craig and I have just stopped to admire this beautiful sky. There's a green wood hoopoo just landed in a tree. And there's another one. I actually just said this life is amazing. There's so many ups and downs. Sasha, a tree. Wild Earth, land of peace. Absolutely. These green wood hoopoos have just landed in this tree here, looking to start some foraging, flipping some bark over. But yes, this life, this place is this is much more than a job for me. It's a lifestyle. It's up and down all the time, and that was such a special sighting for me, and I'm so glad I could share it with all of you that are watching. One minute you're hot and covered in flies and looking for vanishing leopards, and the next minute you get to witness an entire afternoon activity with the second most endangered carnivore in Africa, from sleep to disappearance. And I also like to imagine what they're up to now. Who knows? Who knows? There's so many mysteries out here that are unrevealed to us, We're going to send you over to Cedric, and I'm going to continue to enjoy this beautiful sunset.
Welcome to Gowrie Dam once again. I'm just listening out. It's just beautiful just to listen to all the birds, and the squirrels are busy alarm calling here in the background. That hee chick 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 hee chick 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 chick. So I'm just looking carefully what else is here. I also heard baboons going baa-hoo, making their alarm calls as well. So very interesting. So just looking carefully, maybe something is going to be walking down to the dam, especially that it is getting darker and cooler. So hopefully maybe we find a leopard or lion. You never know. Maybe it's just a bird of prey that's actually passing by. But then again, a baboon I won't alarm call for a bird of prey. Definitely not. But that squirrel is going crazy. I'm trying to figure out from which direction. It's very difficult to pick out in the direction of that alarm calling. But then again, it's also squirrels are one of those things that I kind of not really take serious when I hear any alarm calling on a squirrel, due to the fact of sometimes just alarm calling for a slender mongoose, or alarm calling for a snake that's really harmless. But you can hear that the baboons are going crazy in the distance. Definitely going absolutely crazy, but I don't know, maybe it's further up the drainage line, maybe there's something that side, but we'll just hang back a bit here, just take a look carefully. Notice something coming through.
That's my boy.
It couldn't be a better morning. This is just too special.
Wow, what a way to start off.
Bright colors, and it attracts the insect to the flower, which is exactly what we're watching right now. This is so exciting.
There's two. Hello, Mama. It's all good. Hi. Hi.
The smallest baby black-backed jackal I have seen in the wild. Look how full the belly is.
It is so incredible to spend this time so close to an African penguin. They just make me feel alive.
That is incredibly sweet. Grooming each other.
Play is vital. This is how they learn. This is how they would tackle prey.
There you go, there you go. There you go, there you go. Heart is pumping right now.
Look at this, everybody. We've got a live kill. There's nowhere to go.
It's just such an incredible privilege to be out here. It just keeps on delivering.
Live.
There she goes. Going for the youngster. She got it.
That's what I'm talking about.
Look at that.
It is insanely good footage.
Look at that beautiful, beautiful, beautiful colors up there. There's not really a sunset per se, but it's still lovely colors. I mean, the sun is behind some of those clouds. But just look at that. There's blue, purples. I don't even know what they call those colors. And it's going to be a hot evening, I tell you that. I can, even now, it's probably 30 degrees. Or Laura Moore. I think you hit it spot on. The colors that are the pretty pastel colors in the clouds. Yeah. It's like a painting, isn't it? Look at that. And that dead tree just gives it that sort of like quintessential Africanness, if I can put it that way. If there's such a word. If not, we just invented it. Who says I can't invent a word? So we left Chitwa's Dam. In fact, we're back on Djuma, so we're going to be sort of just slowly crisscrossing the Djuma property all the way from the south. You know, it'd be nice to get a leopard, but if not, you know, we're going to just enjoy it, you know, see what else comes up. Well, I believe Kelly's also got a different angle on the sunset, so let's head over to see what that is like.
Chris, are we having a sunset off? I think we might be. You said you couldn't make up words to describe this. I'm going to try. Atmospheristical is a completely made-up word. And I'm not sure where it comes from, but I do like a challenge. So I made up a word for the sunset. The colours, oh, the purples and the lilacs. And that sun is just breathtaking. It's like there's a fire behind those mountains. And as it hits the ridge, you can see that glow more clearly than the haze above those peaks. Megan Edwards, wow, indeed. And I'm gonna shush while we watch the sun slowly set on Djuma. I really hope you all enjoyed that, even as half as much as I did.
Do you dream of traveling to a far-flung wilderness location where life continues as normal? A place where you can escape to nature and breathe. If you become a WildEarth Explorer, then this could soon become a reality. Subscribe today and stand a chance to win regular travel prizes. WildEarth Explorers, it's in your nature. From the biggest land mammals to the silent and tall crossing the plains, the small burrowers to the waddlers on the rocks and the small creatures in the sea, all things bright and beautiful, all things great and small, our wildlife spans across the world. It's vital that we protect and preserve. Join us in celebrating the wildest side of life this March as the 3rd marks World Wildlife Day.
The thing I love about Russ is that she's taking good care of us. She gets us to sightings, like we drive over big blocks.
The most memorable experience with Wendy was 2 nights ago. In fact, last night, when I had a flat tire right in the middle of the herd of 400 buffalo and had to change it right there and then. That was by far my most memorable experience with this trusty old girl.
The only tough experience on Rusty would be to forget to charge her.
Well, she's only broken down with me once, and it was basically just a loose steering rod that we fixed in the field.
We use big batteries to power up everything, so if it happens that you don't charge it, she'll die on you, eh?
Since then, she's treated me very well. She's taken me into a number of sightings, and it just seems to keep going.
Stanley is such an awesome African penguin, and personally, my favorite. I love Stanley because of that amazing plumage variation, that beautiful broad black breastband with the cutest little white heart directly in the middle. And Stanley plays hard to get, but we are so happy to have him down here at Stony Point and can't wait.
Alrighty then. Back on Twin Dams right now, heading north. Just going to quickly go past where we left Tlalumba's cubs yesterday. Not going to just drive past them. And then we're just going to sort of crisscross and see what comes up. Oh, look at that. I'm going to just slow down. Oh, there's a little surprise for us. Well, that's to the left. It's not a leopard. It's got spots. But it's not a leopard. Hi there. I haven't seen a giraffe in quite some time, I must say. Looks like a big old female, a cow. Hello, Ellie. Ellie says she loves these spots more. Sorry. Oh, not sorry. How can you not like giraffe, eh? Ellie says she likes these spots more. They are impressive, I must say. I mean, it's and so many times on safari with guests, you know, I always have a bit of a, you know, a debrief, if I can put it that way. That sounds a bit too formal there. But often on our route to the airstrip or something like that, you know, we'll just reflect, or maybe that last breakfast. And sometimes even weeks later when the people are home and emails are still exchanged, thank you for the safari, and we're replanning the next one. And especially first timers, and the question I always ask is, what is your highlight? And it's amazing how many guests, in spite of having seen leopards and lions and all sorts of things, say the creature that impressed them most, sort of highlight as a species, was giraffe. Isn't that marvelous? Also, the reaction of a guest when they first see a giraffe, it's like an elephant in a way. You've got that picture in your mind as to what it should look like, and you're probably correct. You know, you probably have a very accurate picture because you've probably seen it in a zoo or on media and so forth. But seeing it in real life in the bush, and elephants have a very similar effect on first-time safari guests. It's that proverbial shock and awe, you know, like, yo, I knew they were tall, but I didn't really expect this, you know, that sort of shock in a way, in a good way. It's always amazing to see the faces of people when you take them on safari and they see these things for the first time. And it almost, for us as guides who does this for a career, it's almost as if you experience it as well for the first time through the eyes of that guest. It's an amazing feeling to see people just like, wow, this is real, I'm in Africa, and it's just incredible. It's an energy that feeds us as nature guides. Hi there, Jade. Yeah, that belly is rather bloated, so it could very well be that she is pregnant. It could also, remember, it's the end of the day, so it could just be gas and stomach content. But it is rather bumpy, so it's very likely that she could be pregnant. Remember, there's no particular season with giraffe. They give birth throughout the year. Seems to be a peak towards the summer months, but they don't have a fixed season. So lovely pattern, this particular female. I love, it's almost square like you know, the reticulated giraffe up in Northeast Africa. Peekaboo. One thing I used to do a lot, and I can't do it now, but you see a giraffe feeding in the distance like that, and it's about 80 yards off, is to get the guests out on foot once the giraffe have moved off and go to that very same tree and point out where the exact point where they're feeding, and then they realize how tall they are, because you don't really get that same feeling from a distance. You need to be right up there. Well, let's head over to Liam and see what he's up to. Liam. Sorry, not Liam.
Welcome back to Gurry Dam. Welcome back to Gurry Dam. Still listening out, still looking out. I think remember earlier on we heard those baboons alarm calling. So exactly where they came from that area up this side. So that's why I was just been scanning the area just to make sure if there was nothing coming further down from where they were. I do have just a lonely Impala rams here. That's pretty much next to the waterhole. They came down for a late afternoon drink. And there are 3 of them. As you can see, very much important for them to really stick together like as in bachelor herds. So sometimes you'll get a lonely male around the areas, a little bit older males that do not really challenge for females. But that's just taking a little bit of a chance due to the fact of he hasn't got any mates to really look after and what he's doing and or looking out for any danger or anything like that. At least like these males now that you see there's 3 of them in the area, at least they've got a little bit of support, and they're just really enjoying the last bit and of the day. You'll find that these males and the breeding herds will tend to move up to bigger open clearings and where they'll feel a lot safer at night time. So you'll find that these males won't stay here for much longer, and they'll head up into probably head up to an area called a quarantine clearing or quarantine open. And that's where they kind of will have a better chance of survival with that big open areas and much shorter grass. Not a good idea to stand next to a waterhole at night time. Of course, predators will also tend to come down for a drink, and it could be a little bit of a problem for them being in the same area. And slowly, let's enjoy this male. Quinn, good afternoon. Welcome to WildEarth. Thank you very much for your question. Which tree plays the biggest role in our ecosystem? Yeah. Oh, I believe most trees. Most trees, they all got a certain role to play. I can't be too specific on a specific tree itself. I think most trees play a very important role. Softer trees, like your apple leaf, like your marula trees, they have got a big role to play when, of course, falling over and creating homes for animals that dwell on the ground. Like your dwarf mongoose. Then you've got your harder trees, like your leadwood trees and your knob thorns, like you saw where like the knobthorn tree, where you got those brown-headed parrots pretty much nesting in them. And of course, further on down the line, you'll have certain tree species that actually bear fantastic palatable leaves for certain species in the area. So there's so many different trees that's got different roles. I cannot really give you an exact tree species that's going to be the most important. Unfortunately, they've all got a role to play. And that's why we've got such a huge diversity of mammals and birds, reptiles. So that's insects, that's the big thing. It all starts off with soil, to the grasses, to the trees and what they bear, and goes further to the animals. So each thing has got a certain role to play. And that's why it's, if one certain tree species missing, 10 to 1, you'll have certain insect species missing from their different reptile species missing. So each one. And well, let's head back to Kelly and see what she's up to.
We have found a ribbon. And it looks like she might have been walking most of the afternoon since we found her briefly earlier. And I'm going to try and keep up with this lovely lady. See, head down, nose down. What can you smell, Gertie? See her sniff, 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 sniff. There are worse ways of finding a leopard than following a hyena. Jasmine, what are you up to, girl? I don't know. I'm gonna try keep up, but without disrupting her, but she's definitely sniffing the air. So this time of the evening, the air is actually denser. So when air warms up, the particles are further apart. And then as it cools down, those particles come back together again, and it's easier to smell and hear things, both for us and for these animals. Not that a hyena would need any assistance, because they've got an amazing sense of smell. I haven't seen any obvious tracks on this road here, but to be honest, it's getting a little bit dark to see now. So I'm gonna just stop here so Craig can get a nice, albeit bottom image of this well-known, well-loved female hyena. You can actually see, look at her front feet there, her front feet. One of the tricks to identifying hyena tracks is they walk with their toes out. They walk with their toes sort of like this, I can't do it. How do you do it on camera? Like this, that's it. If you watch her front feet as she moves, they walk a little bit like this. She doesn't look in a hurry. Oh, I just got a little bit of a waft of her. Not that I'm calling the beloved ribbon smelly, but they can give off a aroma. Let's call it an aroma sometimes. And like I said, with those air particles closer together, that smell does travel more easily. See, she's not even looking around at the vehicle. I don't want to block her. She wants... where do you want to go, Gertie? You want to come up this way? No, no, she's going the other way. Oh, she's giving us the run around. There you go. Right, I'm going to try and keep up with Ribbon and see where she takes us.
Safari, there is nothing better than an evening spent under the stars chatting around a fire, with the sounds of the wild all around you. If you sign up to be a WildEarth Explorer, you can build your own memories by joining our guides for regular fireside chats. Subscription payments can be made by PayPal, credit card, and now bank transfer. WildEarth Explorers, it's in your nature.
This is Picky Plastic, and Picky Plastic is excited about the Global Recycling Day. Recycling plays a big role in the wild earth environment, from protecting the penguin colony at Stony Point by cleaning up the oceans, to ensuring that the safari team reports littering and recycles within the camps. Join WildEarth and be a part of Global Recycling Day on the 18th of March, 2022.
Right, so Marips has found himself a puff adder that he's busy playing with, which is dangerous. I've seen leopards die from puff adder bites. I think he got hit on the paw. So he's obviously taken snakes on before. But at what cost, Marips?
We're still with Ribbon. And I'm trying to work it so you can all have a lovely facial view of this hyena walking past. But every time I try and set it up, she either slows down or speeds up. So we're going to try and get it right for you, but I'm not going to bother her and wait until we maybe get to a junction or she stops somewhere appropriate. There is no way I would ever try push this girl just for a nice facial shot. But she does keep stopping, sniffing, stopping. And I'm curious as to what's going on with these den sites. Renata, at what age will Ribbon's cubs follow her for a hunt? It will be quite late. Hyena cubs can actually suckle till they're a year old. They don't have to, but hyena cubs develop relatively slowly. Hyenas have got very nutritious milk, so while they will start eating meat from a very young age, animals often don't follow hunts for a while because, to be honest, they're a bit rubbish. Lions, leopards, wild dogs, hyenas, they're babies. And baby things, for a start, aren't very skilled. Secondly, they're not very patient. What did she hear? So it will be a while. Probably, I'm not going to try and give an age, maybe 18 months. So they will start being useful by then. You know, they've got some weight behind them then. They've got good strong jaws, but baby animals can mess hunts up, basically. So not when they're still super young. Certainly not for a long time yet. Not with the cubs of this girl. Okay, I want to try and stick with her. Just gonna have a little flash here. It is getting quite dark now, so I think I might just grab this spotlight. I'm under all these things. And start having a scan around, although I think this hyena will tell us long before a spotlight will if there's something interesting happening here. So she's come off to the left. It's actually going to be... Yeah, I think she's going to go down into that drainage. Yeah, there's a drainage line just here. It looks like she's dipping down into this drainage. I'm going to loop around this corner and see if she doesn't come back out on the road here. But it looks like she's dipping down into this drainage line. Just... I'm going to go onto the dam wall, I think. I'm going to go onto the dam wall and just wait there for a few minutes to see if she doesn't arrive. More tension. Is she gonna turn up or not? Are the dogs gonna move or not? We just don't know. I think I'm gonna set up just here so we've got a view of this road and the drainage line here. And I'm just gonna switch off. Ooh, reverse hill start. And see if she turns up here. I'm just gonna switch off. Oh, there. That didn't take long, did it? That was quick. What can you see?
Yeah, the wild dogs in the distance.
Maybe. Maybe she can... This is very close. Yes, I can. This hyena can hear those wild dogs. Look how she's sped up. She's sped up. Okay. Those wild dogs could have turned. They could have come back onto the property. This hyena would be jolly foolish. But it looks like she is making her way in that direction. So what do I know? If we do come across these wild dogs, we're not going to be able to stay with them. They are diurnal and we're not allowed to view these wild dogs, cheetah, other technically diurnal hunters after dark. But I'm just going to stay with her. But I think this is a very brave hyena. This ribbon, ooh, those dogs, if anyone was watching earlier, that choo, 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 that's what she can hear. So I'm going to keep following her for a little while. In the meantime, you can go to Chris and see what he's up to.
Fall asleep, yeah, bro. Right. We are continuing our little nighttime bumble. And as usual, just slowly driving and looking to find something. I don't really have a particular plan. I'm just driving on feeling at the moment. Feels like going left, I go left. If it feels like going right, I go right. So no plan, no particular animal, I'm just driving. Sometimes that works, sometimes not. Hi there, Ian. Ian wants to know if we do get any sandstone in the area. Ian, negative. We don't really get sandstones here. Some of the ravines might have a bit of mudstone, which is not similar, but it's not the predominant or dominating geology here. We are on a very old ancient granite complex. So what I am going to do sometime tomorrow, I've started to collect a few rock samples, and I will do a segment or two on the geology of this area. And I think I must maybe even print a map or two of the greater Kruger region, if I can, or look, maybe there might actually be one in final control. And then we can chat about the geology. But yeah, so where we are, it's mainly granite, and it's a very, very old granite. And also gneiss, which is the metamorphic version of granite. But we will do an in-depth geology, and in fact I did pick up one rock. I'm not going to do a segment on it because it's dark now, but tomorrow we will have a few rocks. It's probably going to be in the afternoon, if anything. So I still need a few samples. And we will then discuss a little bit about the geology. How about that? And how it affects not only, you know, the animals, but how it affects everything around us. So that will be somewhat of a themed drive in a way. It's not going to be rock talk all the time. Just do like one or two segments, and if there's obviously interest and more questions with regards to that, we will then elaborate further. I love geology. And it's just a tricky topic to make interesting. You really have to look at some very clever ways to make it interesting for people, you know, who's not interested in geology. It can be a very dead subject. But I'm going to make it fun, I hope. So let's hope we can get a few suitable samples of rock.
So we're here.
Surroundings, the nature, it's not something I can get in my homeland. So it's wonderful to be able to be live, you know, with you guys and feel like you're actually there.
If you want to go on safari with a Wild Earth guide, whilst honing your bush knowledge and of course featuring in one of our shows, then head over to our website.
With wild dogs, wonderful, absolutely wonderful. We don't always get to see those, so that's just been amazing.
Sign up to be a Wild Earth Explorer and you could be making your first ever on-screen appearance.
I wanted to be part of the support of Wild Earth. It brings so much to everybody, and everything has brought so much to me, especially, you know, got me through some difficult times myself. I found Wild Earth shortly before I was going to go through some things in my own personal life, and it's what got me through, and I know that's a story for many, many, many people, so it's important to me to provide support to that.
The Endangered Wildlife Trust is among Southern Africa's largest and most established non-governmental conservation organizations. Our strategic vision centers on saving species, conserving habitats, and benefiting people. In 2021, the EWT secured habitats, reintroduced African wild dogs and cheetahs into reserves across Southern Africa, and created vulture-safe zones to reduce major threats to vultures, such as poisoning and electrocution. On the 3rd of March 2022, we celebrate World Wildlife Day under the theme Recovering Key Species from Ecosystem Restoration. Standing strong alongside our partners, donors, supporters and friends, the EWT staff have achieved remarkable gains for conservation. Thank you for helping us protect forever together.
But I think that's him. I think that's the one I must. Okay, this is getting serious now. I knew there was going to be trouble. Too many bulls and must over one hair.
There's nothing at Gallagher Pan, just to the north of the stream here. You know, one thing I did mention it, and I keep thinking about it, is that I've not seen any snakes. I've seen one or two at camp, but I mean, like out in the bush. You know, I don't know why, and I've tried to think it through as to what potential reason there could be, because we see the tracks. I remember the Lowveld areas where I used to work. We see mambas, cobras, buff adders, and I'm not sure why that is. Why I haven't seen many snakes out on game drive. I guess if you go out and walk, you'll probably see a bit more. Snakes can feel vibrations in the ground, and then this vehicle approaching is, you know, it's a big object, so they probably move away into the thick grass before you even see them. Could be one of the reasons. I don't know. Anyway, a lot of the viewers are saying that they're looking forward to the rocks and geology segment tomorrow. Like I said, it's probably going to be tomorrow afternoon. So I still need to gather suitable rocks. So I'm going to be looking for specific, look, it's all granite, but in order to explain the processes involved, I want to have different examples of it. So I'm hoping for tomorrow afternoon. And I will have samples, you know, that we're going to put on the dash, and we're going to chat about it. And hopefully there'll be some questions. And like I said, I'm going to see if I can find some geological maps of the entire Kruger, because that's going to be part of the story. There's a story there. All right, let's link to Kelly and see what she's up to. Out on her bumble.
I'm getting amazing sounds of these wild dogs coming from both sides of this cut line. And I would really like to share this noise with you. And they came really close just now, but it sounds like they've moved away again a bit. It sounds like this pack has split up, possibly while they were trying to hunt. And I'm now trying to use my spidey skills to work out exactly where they're going to meet back up again, which is not going to work because it never does. But it sounds to me like this pack is on either side of the cut line, and the sound I was talking about earlier, it almost sounds like an owl or something. And I think I'm pretty much in line with where they were calling from on both sides. But oh, these animals run, and if they're hunting, see, the ones on the left have sounded much further away now. I don't think you're going to be able to pick it up. And I think the other half of the pack are probably on my southern side. Red Axle, great question. It's actually quite complex. I've just started a module of a animal behavior diploma discussing the domestication of the process of domestication of what we see today as a domestic dog. They're canines, so way down the line they are, you know, domestic dogs, and these wild dogs are canines. But there's been different splits at different time periods in history. So without going into the deep genetic split history between wolves and wild dogs, it's difficult to pinpoint it. They're canines, but that's... Sorry, I'm listening. That's as far as I can tell you. They do have lots of similar behavioural traits, but domestic dogs are domestic dogs. They're almost their own species. So it's not like someone grabbed a wild dog puppy and gave it some tinned food and we see the domestic dog that we see today. It's a very long transitionary period. Good question though. Ask me again in a year and I'll probably be able to give you a much clearer taxonomical and historical breakdown of that question. They're further up. I think let's go up to this other cut line, Craig, and see. It sounds like half the pack have now gone further back behind us, and the other pack have gone, well, the same pack. Other animals have gone up in the opposite direction, which about 5 minutes ago, it really did sound like they were almost going to come together on the road. But they will sometimes split to hunt, especially if there's lots of prey in an area. I mean, I think that pack, is it 9 or 11, is good numbers. And if they're hunting impala or something, you know, 4 or 5 of those dogs could easily take down an adult impala. So maybe one part of the pack has gone one way, the other's gone the other way, and they're going to try their luck. What is that in the road? Is that an... I don't want to shine on that, Craig. I think it might be an owl. Oh no, it's a scrub hare. Ignore me. Ignore me, everyone. It's a scrub hare. Not that scrub hares aren't fantastic, but let's not blind the scrub hare. See, African wild dogs would take this scrub hare if they came across this scrub hare on the road. And I'm not shining on this scrub hare because it will panic it, but I'm going to have to look a little bit, otherwise I'm not going to see anything. I've followed scrub hares for a long time before. I'm going to carry on creeping along this cut line to see if we can't try and work out how to give you audio, this amazing spooky sound of the African night. get to the corner. Let's get to this corner. Oh, Amira, good question. So, baby hyenas can suckle for a long time, but they don't need to. So I think it would depend on things like food availability, so prey availability. If there was not much food available for mum, it would delay how long it would be before she had more cubs. I think it could be as short as... No, I'm not going to guess, Amira. It does vary, but what I will do, I will have a look in my mammal Bible and see what actual research says as the minimum and maximum dates on whether or how long it will be for hyena to have a second litter. I'm not going to guess. I'm going to have a look in the textbook and come back to you. I'm going to switch off and let's just listen again. I can't hear anything now.
Look at that. It's amazing. Wow. Hey.
And 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Live.
Oh, that's cool.
Just in there.
And the black mamba's going up the tree and the mongoose is attacking it. She's gonna pounce again.
Sure, you can all agree with me. It's not a bad start to our Wednesday morning.
Something that I have never seen before in my entire life that you are now watching live.
Look at that. It's just beautiful.
Fantastic display by a little herd of springbuck.
How is this view?
My heart is in my mouth, everybody.
Amazing, they've locked their tusks together. You can hear the cracking branches.
It is so incredible to spend this time so close to an African penguin, and it's completely unfazed by my presence whatsoever.
How insane is that animal?
Amazing.
Hey.
Awesome.
It is fantastic to watch.
Well, now we've got a tug of war between mom and daughter, look.
I'm just at a loss for words. Yeah. That's just incredible to see that.
So we drove all the way to our boundary and we can hear that those dogs have gone past where we can access. So I'm going to start slowly making my way back the way we came. Amira, I did just stop and have a look in my book, and I still don't have an answer for the typical or the stretch, so the soonest and the latest time that female hyenas will have more babies. So I'm still not going to guess. Next time I stop, I'm going to try have a look again, because I wouldn't want to give you the wrong information. So stand by, you'll have to keep watching until the end to find out what the answer is. I think I'm just going to take these cut lines back. All sorts of animals will be moving now, and these big wide main roads are a good place to be at this time of the evening. As we saw, those dogs have stayed very close to this cut line. Ribbon was also walking on the main road. So I'm just going to take a drive along these cut lines and we'll see what turns up. But I, for one, have had a fantastic afternoon. Very, very special to spend time with those wild dogs. I always feel like when people do send in questions, I don't want to answer. I do want to answer, but there are just so many variations in nature, and there's so many things that we don't understand. There's so many variables: heat, age, food, water, all sorts of things like that. So it's not that I'm trying to avoid the question, it's that there's often not a set, solid answer. I'm still trying to work out from about a week ago how many hawks there are in the world. I still haven't concluded that, but it gives me good homework to do. I actually really enjoy all the questions that come in because it gets me thinking. Ella, age 10, what is the prettiest butterfly? I'm going to answer that one. It's the citrus swallowtail. That's my answer to that one. That was a nice definite answer because it's my personal opinion of what's the prettiest. Beautiful big butterfly, certainly for this area. Hold on, this is where we start deviating. Did you mean here? Did you mean in Africa? But my immediate response to that was the citrus swallowtail. I actually saw one earlier, but maybe we'll ask Craig to try frame on a flying butterfly next time. What do you think, Craig? Do we get one? A citrus swallowtail. They're quite big butterflies, quite dark with beautiful, almost fluorescent yellow on them. Very, very pretty butterfly, very noticeable here. That's what I think is the prettiest butterfly, Ella. Okay, I'm going to carry on my slow drive home along the cut line and see what Chris is up to. I thought that was an owl.
Hi, Owen and I decided to drive via tele-access. So often this road yields sightings at night. Many times I've driven this road and found something. You know, so let's see if our intuition was right today. So again? Where about? Oh, no. I heard honey badger there from Owen. I thought he saw it. He says, nah, you reckon he wants to see honey badger on this road. Oh, let's see. Let's see. Very random animal to choose, but you never know. We've seen some in the past on this road. Thomas wants to know, what is the most dangerous snake out in the savannah? Right, Thomas, I love that question because like many of these questions, it does not have a definitive answer. You actually have to look at a few angles. But, all right, most venomous snake out here, let's just start there, is the boomslang. It's a hemotoxin that causes the blood to thin. It attacks the clotting mechanism of the blood, and it's a very slow acting venom. So, but from a dangerous perspective, even though it's the most venomous in terms of the amount of venom needed to cause a mortality, it's the most venomous. But because the venom is so slow acting, and the treatments for it is rather effective, and you have a lot of time to get to medical help, very few people actually die from those bites. Right, mambas and cobras, very dangerous snakes. Most of the cobras, the large cobras here, the bushveld cobra or snouted cobra, very toxic bite. Its toxicity is very high and they inject large quantities of venom, even though mamba is more. Those snakes require immediate hospitalization, immediate, because they are neurotoxic and they interrupt the signals from the brain to the skeletal muscles, and in the case of cobras, also the organs. So you need to get to medical help quickly. The spitting cobra, the mfezi as we call it, has got a cocktail venom, so it's also a dangerous bite. Potentially lethal, also requires immediate medical, although its neurotoxic capabilities are not as strong. Got strong cytotoxic or tissue destructing properties to it, and then obviously puff adder. There's a few others. The puff adder is also a nasty bite because it also causes like severe necrosis due to the cytotoxic venom. I just want to go back a little bit. I think I might have spotted something here. Oh, there we go. I'm not sure if we can get that. Might be a bird form. I'll point it out for you with it. Okay, see where my light is? But I'm just above it. So from my light you need to go down. I'll tell you. So somewhere there, towards the edge, you can go a bit right. I'm gonna check. Okay, no, I think we're too far. Okay, you can go a bit left. Sorry. And a little bit more. These things are so difficult to get on camera there. Yeah, okay, so a little bit more. Then I'm just gonna check. Go right. Slowly. I'm just gonna check that we're on the right. It's somewhere on the edge there. More right. It's in that. I'm gonna keep my light there, so just we'll find it just now. Let's maybe go to my light there. I've got my light centered on it there. Yeah, there we go. See there? Go down a bit. Down left there. See in the left hand right corner, right there. These things are ridiculously difficult to get on camera, and that is why Owen and I just needed to coordinate a little bit there. Look at that. Just patiently waiting for an insect to come past. Those eyes are just crazy. How they move independently. flap-necked chameleon, which is our native species.
Hello, how are you?
We baba, swatike emsabeni. We baba, babansati banhlupha. We baba, abafika endlini yami. Awungathi bangafike ngathithimela. We baba, we baba. How's it was a Friday, my darling. Was a Friday.
This is that one, I don't know if you've seen guys make soap out of the leaves.
Yeah. Hey, my sweetie. Was a Friday. Langalingonile wena.
Pangolin, known as the respected wise old man of the African bush, is said to be a symbol of good luck and the bringer of rain. 8 species of pangolins are found worldwide, of which 4 occur in Africa. This mysterious creature is now the most poached animal on our planet. The African Pangolin Working Group will strive towards the conservation and protection of the African pangolin species and the habitat they live in. The African Pangolin Working Group has been mandated by the Department of Forestry, Fisheries and the Environment to assist and support with the retrieval, release process and the research of pangolins in South Africa. Each rescued pangolin is assessed, treated and rehabilitated by an experienced team of veterinarians and rehabilitation specialists. We can ensure the survival of the species. Together, we can make a difference.
Myself and Sebastian were looking for the Birmingham Pride sub-adults and we just found them stealing a hoisted baby impala carcass out of a tree. This is incredible. It's the first time I've seen one of these youngsters. Whoa! Quite a good chunk there. Nearly fell out doing it. She might fall backwards. She's actually lowering herself down the tree. It's the first time I've seen a lion do that in person.
While we watch, I just want to go back to the snake conversation we had about which is the most dangerous snake. So we've spoken about the venomous, but that doesn't necessarily make them the most dangerous. So the snake that we class as the most dangerous in this area, which will be the snake that accounts for the most serious bites, and that would be the Mozambique spitting cobra, followed by the puff adder. And thirdly, it would be Biberon's stiletto snake. Also bites a lot of people because people try and handle them and they can bite backwards. I've got this these fangs that are pointing actually backwards. And they grab them in the old fashion and the snake just zaps them. Anyway, so we regard the Mozambican spitting cobra as the most dangerous because it's the most likely snake to bite you. They do enter houses and all sorts of things. Also the fact that they can spit their venom, they actually squirt it through the teeth. It's not really spitting. Much like you discharge, if you press on a needle, it will squirt, you know, a syringe with a needle. So that would be regarded as the most dangerous, not the most venomous though. It's just motionless. You often think of predators as lion and leopard and so forth, but these things. Megan Edwards says it looks like a grumpy space lizard. Yeah, no, I can see where you're going with that one. But I mean, if we talk about predators, we just talk about the eagles and the lions and leopards, you know, and we tend to forget about these guys. I mean, they're super predators of insects. I mean, camouflage is unequaled, you know, out here. I mean, the camouflage is so effective, the fact that they can change color. They're patient, they can remain motionless there for days, really. The prehensile tail, which helps them to maneuver in between branches, it literally becomes like a hand. And then the feet with that, what we refer to as forcipate foot structure, like tweezers, to grab onto any form of branches, together with those claws that can grip onto anything. It just, all of that combined with that sticky tongue that can zap out at insects makes them an incredible predator of insects. Talking about boomslang, one of their main predators, so the boomslang and also the vine snake also preys on them. And then, funny enough, you know, one of my favorite birds is a big hunter of chameleons, the Birchall's cuckoo. They are known to seek out chameleons. They hop in between the branches looking for them, so they also consume chameleons. That's not all their predators. There's a couple of. I once even seen a yellow-billed hornbill flying around with one. And this is certainly not Fred. We're very far from where we've seen Fred. I don't think I'll ever see Fred again, though. That was a once-off. Well, what a great afternoon it was yet again. Very, very calm and relaxed, and then the dogs and the elephants and the crocodile and the chameleon and everything.
We have a smidging of time to have a look at this beautiful leopardess. By the skin of our teeth, we found Mr. Lumber. Thank you so much for joining us all this afternoon. What a treat we've had. Please join us again tomorrow for high excitement here